Hello everyone and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain, and today, sit a while, for we are playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators. So, by now I'm sure most of you who are pretty good hockey fans have heard the sad news. Yesterday on August 18th, we lost Dale Hawerchuk to his battle with cancer. So, my sympathies to the Hawerchuk family. Of course, they're never going to listen to that, but I was a pretty big fan of Dale Hawerchuk. I think he was a pretty good player and everything, so that happened. Maybe a little bit of trivia for those of you that are not from my part of the world. There's actually a rock band in Quebec that is named, or was named, I don't know if they're still active, they were named the Dale Hawerchuks. And they were mostly actives in the mid-2000s, and they got permission from Dale Hawerchuk himself to name themselves like that, and apparently he said, hey, you guys can do that, just don't make fun of me. So yeah, that's a thing. So you can look it up if you want. There's definitely a band called Les Dale Hawerchuk. So anyway, I thought I would open up with that. Looks like we have a pretty busy month of December 2009 coming here. Lots of games on the menu. We are sitting atop the Eastern Conference with 1 point ahead of Pittsburgh, but we have 4 games on hand here, which is probably why December is going to be so busy. We're probably going to be making up some of those games there. I still have Ryan Miller on the trading block. I decided to leave him there for 1 more month, see if anybody's going to bite. If not, I will go ahead and trade him at the start of January and see what's available. As far as what's available on the trading block right now, the best player that I do not own that is on the block is another player that I really like, Rod Brennamore, but he's 39 at this point, so I'm not going to trade for him. So we start right now today in San Jose against the Sharks. The Sharks have a pretty decent record. They are 15-10-3, and we are going to take a look at their lineup. Alright, so Viktor Kozlov is hurt with a fractured fibula, so he's not playing for sure. And then on the lineup, we have Thomas Greisch, Mika Kiprusov, Jason Demers, Josh Gorgeous, Brad Stewart, Antti Niemi, the defenseman. I think it's Antti Jussi Niemi, Carlo Kolayakovo, Matt Carl, Stefan Cronwall, Scott Annan, and Mark Stewart. Lots of D-man on the roster. That's a decent D. There's a little bit of everything back there. Ryan Craig, Torrey Mitchell, Victor Stahlberg, Eric Baudouin, Logan Couture, Marcel Gotch, Thomas Plehall, I think is his name. Thomas Plehall. Milan Mikalik, Joe Pavelski, Adam Mayer, Brian Smolinski, and Lukasz Kashpar. I'm sorry if I'm butchering some of those names. It's absolutely not on purpose. Alright, so I am going to sim this game. We should be able to win. They do have an interesting lineup, but yeah. So we are going to Brian Elliott and net. They are going to Thomas Greisch. Oh, and we start the month with a loss in overtime, so we do get a point, but they did beat us 4-3. Oh, and it's a lot thanks to Thomas Greisch. We outshot the Sharks 58-16 in that game. Joe Pavelski was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and an assist. Joe Thornton was the second star with 2 assists, and Marcel Gotch was the third star with 2 assists. So Pavelski opened up the scoring in the first period, but then we scored 3 unanswered goals. Chris Kelly scored on the power play from Jason Spezza and Mark Streit, and then Ryan Callahan from Joe Thornton, and then Ryan Callahan again from Brooks Lake and Joe Thornton, and it was 3-1 Sens after 1. Then San Jose scored in the second period, made it 3-2. Then they scored again in the third, while Zdeno Chara was in the box. Tied the game at 3. That went in overtime, nobody scored, and then in the shootout, Joe Pavelski scored and nobody else did, so we lost that one in the shootout, 4-3, starting with a loss. Strong game for Patrick Kane, who had a hat-trick against Columbus. Eugene Melnyk is very happy with my work, as we went 10-2-1, including yesterday's game. Alright, well, we do want to make Eugene Melnyk happy. Kind of happy that Eugene Melnyk went in the media, I think it was yesterday or this morning, I don't remember, went in the media saying that Ottawa is not going to attempt to trade their 3rd and 5th picks that we have this season for the Rangers first. There was a rumor that was going to happen, and Melnyk said that we're not going to do that, and I'm okay with that, honestly. I think that at 3 and 5 we can get 2 pretty solid players. Of course, Lafreniere is probably going to be a superstar, but we might still be able to get 2 really solid players at 3 and 5. So I'd rather keep that. Personally, that's my opinion, of course. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do things as far as the draft goes. It's a little bit of a crapshoot most of the time. Alright, so Tanner Glass suspension ends in Florida. He is back in the lineup. Joel Quenneville looks to save his job. Ooh, so Joel Quenneville might lose his job in Minnesota. They are 13-11-2. So not that patient in Minnesota, apparently. Alright, and we are now playing in LA against the Kings. The Kings are 10-11-7, so struggling a little bit in LA. Let's look at their lineup. So they have Sami Salo. Oh, former Ottawa Senator Sami Salo is still in LA, huh? So Sami Salo and Brian Wilsey are on the injured reserve, so they're not gonna be playing this game. In net, it's Jonathan Bernier and Jonathan Quick, so that's pretty good. Paul Martin, Alexander Solzer, I believe that was his name. Yep. Lubomir Vishnevsky, Rob Blake, Slava Voinov, Kimmo Timonen, and Keith Ballard are on D, so there's definitely a few good players there. Mike Camilleri, Thomas Sorovi, Stefan Veilleux, Tukonen, Boyle, Drury, Kopitar, Lewis White, Dustin Brown, Eric Bélanger, Nick Foligno, whom we traded for Drew Doughty, Yannick Lehoux, and Wayne Simmons. Alright, so let's take a look and see if we can win. Alright, so we're going to Brian Elliott again. They are going to Jonathan Quick. Oh yeah, we won 6-1 that one, so did definitely better than we did against the Sharks. We outshot LA 31-29, so shots pretty close, pretty realistic here. Jason Spezza was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 3 assists. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with 2 assists, and Marian Hossa was the third star with a goal. Sorry, I checked the volumes on my recording software because I've been having some issues lately, so I'm making sure that I haven't been talking for 9 minutes and a half and nothing's recording. It looks fine. Alright, so we have Jason Spezza that opened up the scoring in the first on the power play from Zdeno Chara and Joe Thornton, and then the Kings tied the game, so it was tied at 1 after 1. And in the second period, we have Zdeno Chara scoring on the power play from Jason Spezza and Joe Thornton. Then Mike Fisher from Brooks Lake and Martin Hansel. It was 3-1 Sens after 2. And then we continued with 3 more goals in the third period. Marian Osa scored his 5th from Pavel Datsyuk and Jason Spezza. Then Alex Pietrangelo from Jason Spezza and Pavel Datsyuk. And finally Brooks Lake from Mike Fisher and Eric Condra. It was 6-1, the final score. Eric Condra got ejected with an illegal check to the head. And I have a message there, so I'm wondering if it's because he's suspended. No, it's been looked at and they decided that he's not suspended, so Eric Condra not suspended. Eric Condra wasn't much of a dirty player, but I do remember a really nice kind of hit that he made in the playoffs against Montreal. PK Subban came to kind of check him like in the knees or something. Subban was coming really low and Condra just kind of put his stick up and kind of, because Subban was so low, like basically he had his stick about sternum height and it got right in Subban's face. It was kind of cool. I'm not much for, gratuitous violence or anything like that, but he wasn't coming kind of low and he kind of did that to protect himself, and it was kind of cool in a way. Alright. Juraj Kolnick is available. I'm not going to pick him up. TJ Oshie is sidelined in Philadelphia. Ooh, 5 months. Fractured larynx. Yikes. Yeah, it's... if he comes back, it's going to be during the playoffs. Patrick Eves might be coming back soon. Sucks for Philly. TJ Oshie's a pretty good player. Alright. Patrick Eves about to come back. Not just quite, though. Alright, and now we're going to go ahead and play in Phoenix. If I remember correctly, I think they were the worst team in the league prior to this month starting. So they are 7-20-1. So not going very good in the desert there. No injuries in Phoenix. So in net it's Martin Biron and Nikolai Abibulin. So yeah, that's not all that great. Abibulin is getting a little bit older here. Henrik Tallender, Shane Morrison, Jason Smith, Chris Allen, Semyonov, Teppo Numinen, and Michael Stone on D. Yikes, that D is terrible, and I've been saying that for a few years now with Phoenix, but their best defenseman is their oldest one. It's Teppo Numinen, and he's 41, and he's their best defenseman. That's scary. Up front, we have Mikhail Bodker, Shane Doan, Kevin Porter, Blake Wheater, Chris Draper, Simon Gamache, Daniel Briere, Saku Koivu, Petteri Nakalainen, Kyle Turris, Pascal Dupree, Daniel Winnick, Mikael Samuelson, and Frederick Schustrom. Alright. Yeah, they don't have a good defense at all. That's probably why they lose so much. Alright, so Brian Elliott in net for us, Martin Biron in net for Phoenix. He doesn't have a single win this season in 9 games played. And we won 5-1. We outshot Phoenix 33-14. Eric Condra, the non-suspended Eric Condra, was the first star with 2 goals. Joe Thornton was the second star with an assist, and Mark Streit was the third star with a goal and an assist. So Mark Streit opened up the scoring in the first period. It was a power play goal from Alexander Radulov and Jason Spezza, and then Eric Condra from Drew Doughty, and it was 2-0 Sens after 1. And a lot of penalties happened in the first period. No fighting though. Then in the second, Sam Gagner scored on the power play. It was unassisted. Then Marian Osa from Mark Streit and Pavel Datsyuk, and then Phoenix scored. It was 4-1 Sens after 2. Then finally in the third period, Eric Condra scored his second goal of the game from Joe Thornton and Chris Kelly, and 5-1 was the final score in that one. Pretty good game all around. Alexander Sulzer, after looking at him earlier, is now put on waivers. The case of the Stars missing gloves in St. Louis. Jesse Schultz has his gloves missing, so they're gonna be found in a teammate's pouch later. I think usually the teammate is a goaltender, I believe. Alright, and no time to relax because we are going in Anaheim to play against the Ducks. Ducks have a pretty good record. They are 16-7-5. Alright, so Chris Kunitz is hurt, so he's not going to play that game, and neither is Paul Carrea, who is also hurt. In net, they have Ilya Bryzgalov. Eric Arsberg is the backup. Ladislav Schmid, Willie Mitchell, Greg Zanon, Steven Kampfer, Mark Popovich, Nolan Pratt, and Brian Pothier on D. That D is not very good. Up front, it's Drew Miller, Pierre-Alexandre Parenteau, Bobby Ryan, Alexander Zvitov, Ryan Getzlaff. Which Ryan is that? Michael? Yeah, Michael Ryan. Jack Dowell, Andy McDonald, Tim Brent, Paul Carrea, Jeffrey Lupul, Sexton, Perry, and Reed. Good offense, good goaltending, at least when Bryzgalov's in net, but the D is not all that great. Oops, clicked on the wrong button. Alright, Ryan Miller gets a very rare start, and he's going to face Ilya Bryzgalov. Imagine we're so good that we can't afford to have Ryan Miller warm the bench most games. And we lost 3-1. Maybe that's why Ryan Miller is not playing, because when he does, he's not playing all that great. Alright, so we did outshoot, and I'm 44-25. Ryan Getzlaff was the first star of the game in that one. He had 2 goals and an assist. Jason Spezza was the second star with a goal, and Ilya Bryzgalov was the third star with 43 saves. Alright, so nobody scored in the first, then Anaheim scored in the second to take a 1-0 lead. Then Jason Spezza tied the game a little bit past the midway point in the third. It was his 10th of the season from Pavel Datsyuk and Marian Hossa. But then Anaheim scored 2 more goals and we lost 3-1. Oh boy. Okay, so Ryan Miller is hurt. Hopefully it's only day to day. Because I want to trade him. Probably doesn't have a lot of value if he... Oh yeah. Yeah, he's only day to day. Okay. Phew. Don't do that to me. I want to trade you. Alright. Tyler Arneson put on waivers. Alright, suspension over for Michael Rossival in Buffalo. He is back in the lineup. Jeff Platt is also back from suspension in St. Louis. Sergei Gonchar has produced 500 assists in his career, with an assist against Atlanta. 35 years old, 3-star player still, Sergei Gonchar. And Patrick Eaves is ready to come back, but can he? He can. So let's get you in the lineup. Hopefully you don't re-injure yourself again. And we're gonna send down... I think we're gonna send down Justin Abdelkader. He's not happy, but I don't really care. Alright, and we are now going to be hosting So Montreal, so we're back from our long road trip, and then we're going to be alternating home and away games for almost the remainder of the month. Montreal's coming to town. They are 17, 10, and 3. That's good for 6th in the East. We are 0, and 1 against Montreal. Lost that game. I don't remember if it was in the shootout or in overtime. It was in extra frames for sure. Alright, so Montreal is going to go with Carey Price. We are going with Brian Elliott. And we won 5-1. Yeah, take that, Carey Price. Oh, shots were tied, 28 apiece. Marian Hossa was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Zdeno Chara was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with 2 assists. There were 18,888 people in attendance for this rivalry game against the Habs. Zdeno Chara opened up the scoring in the first. It was his 5th of the season from Pavel Datsyuk and Marian Hossa. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then we scored 3 more goals in the second. Mike Fisher also scored his 5th from Marian Hossa and Zdeno Chara. Then Marian Hossa from Brooks Laich and Zdeno Chara. And Jason Spezza from Pavel Datsyuk, 4-0 after 2. Then in the third period, Montreal scored, minute 41, but shortly after, Jason Spezza scored on the power play from Joe Thornton and Mark Streit, and we were up 5-1, and that was the final score. Nice game against the Habs. That always makes me happy. Adam Pardy is suspended. He's going to miss 6 games with the Flyers. And Mickey Dupont is back from his own suspension with the Islanders. Back in the lineup. Alrighty. Dmitry Bykov is available on waivers. Yann Laperriere has reached 1,250 games played in his career, celebrated with an assist against Detroit. Yann Laperriere, 35 years old, still a 2-star player. Radek Dvorak has competed in 1,000 games, didn't get a point. That happened against New Jersey. 32 years old, Radek Dvorak. He's only a 1-star player anymore, so might be out of the league here pretty soon unless he gets a boost or something. Ooh, that must hurt. Brad Boyes is out with a torn thigh muscle. He's going to be out for 4 months. So the Leafs are losing one of their good forwards. Memorable game for Alexei Ponikarovsky in that same game. He had a hat-trick against the Islanders. Alright, and we are now in Philly to play against the Flyers. The last time we were in Philly, we got shut out for nothing. So hopefully we do better this time. Oh, I forgot to... the Flyers are 20-8. They are pretty good. I don't know exactly where they are in the standings, but that's pretty good. So we have Brian Elliott in net, and Jeremy Duchesne is in net for Philadelphia. Oh, this time we won 4-0. Look at that. Alright, so we outshot the Flyers 33-32. Brian Elliott was the first star. He had a shutout and 32 saves, and the W, of course. Joe Thornton was the second star with a goal and an assist, and Chris Kelly was the third star with a goal. Nobody scored in the first. Then in the second period, Chris Kelly scored his 5th from Joe Thornton and Pavel Datsyuk, and then Joe Thornton from Jason Spezza and Marian Hossa. 2-0 after 2. Then 2 more goals in the third. Marian Hossa scored on the power play from Alex Pietrangelo and Eric Condra, and then Andre Meszaros from Patrick Eves. 4-0 is the final score. Alright, suspension for Pascal Dupuis in Phoenix. He's going to miss 6 games. Ryan Metter is ready to come back. Alright, and Philadelphia are 4th in the East right now, by the way. trailing Pittsburgh by 6 points. They do have 3 games in hand, so winning against us would really have helped them. Carolina's Belmore is suspended, so he's going to miss 2 games. There was no stopping Nicholas Backstrom, who had 3 goals and an assist against Carolina. Ryan Miller is completely healed. Right, and we are about to host the Hurricanes. Oh, it's tough in Carolina. They are 9-20-2. That's good for 15th and dead last in the East. Take a quick look at their lineup. So Andrew Ladd is hurt, so he's not playing, and neither is Chris Pronger, also hurt. And now we just saw that Brett Belmore is suspended, also not going to be playing. So in net, it's Cam Ward and Steve Valiquette. On D, it's Chris Pronger. I think it's Casey Barr. Is that correct? Casey Barr, it is. Jamie McBain, Derek Meach, Brian Allen. Who is that guy? I think it's Brett Carson. Yes, it is. Thomas Puck, Zach Dalpy, Pavel Dimitra, Craig Adams, Chris Terry, Jean-Guy Trudel, Radek Dvorak, Eric Stahl, Michael Nylander, Francis Lemieux, Jerome Sanson, Dan Einout, David Steckel, and JP Vigier. Yeah, that team is not very good. Eric Stahl must be feeling kind of all alone. So Steve Valiquette is going to be in net for the Hurricanes. We are going with Brian Elliott. And we won 5-2. We did outshoot the Hurricanes 51-12. Patrick Eaves was the first star with 3 assists. Joe Thornton was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Zdeno Chara was the third star with 2 assists as well. We had 18,773 people in attendance for this game. Mark Streit opened up the scoring in the first period. That was a power play goal from Joe Thornton and Alexander Radulov. Then the Hurricanes tied the game, and then we took the lead again with Joe Thornton scoring from Patrick Eaves and Zdeno Chara. But then the Hurricanes tied the game again, so after 1, it was tied at 2. The Sens scored 2 quick goals in the second period. Brooks Like scored from Zdeno Chara and Mike Fisher, and then a minute and 7 seconds later, Chris Kelly scored from Patrick Eaves and Joe Thornton. It was 4-2 Sens after 2. And finally, Jason Spezza rounded up the scoring in the third from Patrick Eaves and Chris Kelly, and that one was in the books with a 5-2 final score. Oh, former Ottawa Senator Tim Gleason, now playing in Montreal, got suspended. He's going to miss 3 games. That's why I let him go. He's violent. Danny Eatley has accomplished 600 points in his career with a goal against LA. 28 years old, Danny Eatley, 2.5 star players still. Brennan Moore keeps fans on their feet all night with a hat-trick, 3 goals against the Devils. Alright, so Joni Pitkanen in Chicago is not suspended. Alright, and Jesse Schultz found his gloves. Oh, they were not in a goaltender's pouch. It was with Jay McClement stuff. Alright, so now Jesse Schultz can go back to scoring goals, apparently. Alrighty, we are in Toronto to play against the Leafs. Toronto have a decent record of 17-12-3. That's good for 7th in the East. We are 1-1 against the Leafs this season. We are scoring a little bit more goals this month. Like the past month, we had a lot of 1-0 games. And we won this one 3-1. Nice little game here. Oh dear God, we outshot Toronto 38-8. Alexander Radulov was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Travis Zajac was the second star with an assist, and Jason Spezza was the third star with 2 assists. We scored twice in the first period. First, it was Joe Thornton on the power play from Zdeno Chara and Jason Spezza, and then Chris Kelly on the power play as well from Jason Spezza and Alexander Radulov. 2-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, we had Martin Havlat score from Eric Condra and Alexander Radulov. It was 3-0. In the third period, Toronto scored, but it was too little too late. They couldn't tie the game, so we ran away with that W. Rod Brennamore has played in 1,500 games. Didn't get a point. That happened against Boston. 39 years old. Rod Brennamore, still a 2.5-star player, but, like I said, he's a little too old for me. Richie Regier has a strong game in that same game for Philadelphia against Boston. He had a hat-trick. Wow. Alright, there was no stopping Andrew Brunette with Washington. He had 4 goals against Colorado. Wow. Nice little game. Alright, and we are now going to be hosting the Buffalo Sabres. Now, Buffalo is also struggling this season. They are 9-19-3. That's good for 12th in the East. We are 1-0 against Buffalo this season. They are going with Rob Zepp in net. We are going to Brian Elliott. And we won 6-0. We outshot Buffalo 55-13. Chris Kelly was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and 3 assists. Nice game. Joe Thornton was the second star with 3 assists, and Jason Spezza was the third star with 3 assists as well. We had 16,088 people in attendance for this game. Mark Streit opened up the scoring in the first, a power play goal, assisted by Joe Thornton and Chris Kelly. Then Alexander Radulov scored his 5th, another power play goal as well from Jason Spezza and Chris Kelly, and it was 2-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Chris Kelly scored from Eric Condra and Jason Spezza. And then Patrick Eve scored his 5th from Joe Thornton and Chris Kelly, and it was 4-0 after 2. And 2 more goals in the third. Chris Kelly scored from Andre Meszaros and Joe Thornton, and finally Marianosa from Jason Spezza and Alex Pietrangelo, 6-0, the final score in that one. Now Jared Smithson got a 5-minute for illegal check to the head, and there's a message there, so I don't know if it's because he's suspended. Yes, he is. He's going to miss 3 games. Don't hurt my players. That's going to happen. Alright, Brett Belmore is back from suspension in Carolina. Passes on point for Duncan Keith. He had 4 assists against St. Louis. And memorable game for Ilya Kovalchuk. He had a hat-trick against the Florida Panthers. Alright, so a night to remember for Yuri Hudler, who had a hat-trick against Tampa Bay. That's good. Tim Gleason is back in the lineup with Montreal. And we have a trade proposal from the Calgary Flames. Are they offering me the moon for Ryan Metter? Let's see. No, they are offering me Yuri Novotny for Justin Abdelkader. I'm gonna say no. I'm going to keep Justin Abdelkader. He still has a okay potential. Alright, so we are now playing in New Jersey against the Devils. Now, very uncharacteristic of the Devils. They are not very good this year. They are 9-20-3. That's good for 13th in the East. We are 2-0 against the Devils this season. And we have Brian Elliott in net. He's going to face Martin Brodeur. And we won 1-0. Tight affair in New Jersey. Although not in shots, we outshot them 37-9. Chris Kelly was the first star of the game. He had an assist. The second star belongs to Brodeur with 36 saves. And Zach Parise was the third star despite not getting any points. And the only goal of the game belongs to Pavel Datsyuk in the second period from Marian Hossa and Chris Kelly. That was it. So another 1-0 game for us. We're collecting them this season. Matt Moulson has a great game. He had a hat-trick against Carolina. And we're turning around, going back home, and we are going to face the Minnesota Wild. Now, we saw earlier that they don't have the best of records, and Joel Quenneville might lose his job over there. They are 17, 15, and 2, so winning record, but barely, and apparently they don't have a lot of patience over there in Mini. Alright, so let's take a look at their lineup. No injuries there. Right, so in net, it's Nicholas Backstrom and Jose Theodore. Chris Letang, Nick Schultz, Keith Yandel, Kukkonen, Bufflin, Brett Burns, and Ron Sandy. That D's really good. Yikes. They should be better than that. I mean, Nicholas Backstrom is 31, so he's a 3.5 star player. That's still pretty good. And up front, Brandon Dubinsky, Benoit Pouliot, Van der Gulik, Wattier, Bulish, Eliash, Conan, Wellman, Tucker, Yashin, Clutterbuck, Gaborik, Lombardi, and Pierre-Marc Bouchard. So the forwards might leave a little bit to be desired, but that's not a terrible team. So Jose Theodore is going to be in net for Minnesota. We are going with Brian Elliott again. And we won 5-4. We outshot Minnesota 41-14. Marian Hossa was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and an assist. Patrick Eliash was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Joe Thornton was the third star with 2 assists. 17,217 people in attendance for that game, and almost all of the goals were scored in the first period. So it started with Brooks Like scoring his 10th from Mike Fisher and Jason Spezza, then Marian Hossa scoring his 10th as well from Chris Kelly and Joe Thornton. So we were up 2-0, then Minnesota scored 2 more goals, so it was tied at 2. Then we scored 2, Pavel Datsyuk with Jason Spezza and Andre Meszaros getting the assists. Then Marian Hossa from Joe Thornton, and we were up 4-2. But before the end of the period, Minnesota scored 2 more goals and tied the game at 4. So after 1, it was tied at 4. There was also a fight between Zdeno Chara and Dustin Bufflin. Those guys are pretty big. That must have been a pretty good one. Then in the third period, Anton Volchenkov finished up the scoring and got the game winner from Marian Hossa and Alex Pietrangelo. There were no more tying up the game, and 5-4 is our game to win. Alright, so suspension over for Pardy in Philadelphia. He's back in the lineup. Alright, and we are about to play against the Bruins. So Boston is going to be in town. They are 16, 14, and 4, so they're sliding in the standings a little bit. They are currently 9th in the East. We are 2-0 against the Bruins this season. Looks like it was 2 3-2 victories. So Thomas Vokun is going to be in net for Boston. We are going to Brian Elliott. And we won 1-0. As well keep it up with the tight scores. We outshot Boston 51-24 in that one. Thomas Vokun was the first star. He had 50 saves despite the loss. Kolstov was the second star despite getting any points, and Mike Fisher was the third star with an assist. 16,233 people in attendance for this game. The lone goal of the game happened in the second period. It was Andre Meszaros from Mike Fisher and Mark Streit. 1-0. is how this ended. Pascal Dupuis is back from suspension in Phoenix, back in the lineup. No further action needed for Pittsburgh's Tyler Kennedy, not suspended. Good night for Alexei Morozov with Toronto. He had 4 goals against Buffalo. And Jared Smithson is back in the lineup in Buffalo. Alright, and we are about to play the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, as we know, we are kind of in a tight race. Well, not so much anymore. We are 9 points ahead of them now with a game on hand. Pittsburgh is 25-9-3 this season, so they are right behind us, second in the East, and we are 1-1 against Pittsburgh this season. So, let's see if we can beat them. So Brian Elliott is going to be in net for us. Josh Harding is going to be in net for Pittsburgh. Looks like he's getting the bulk of the games instead of Marc-Andre Fleury. And we won 3-2. Alright. We were outshot 37-22 in that one. Wow. Anton Volchenkov was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Ryan Malone was the second star with a goal, and Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with a goal and an assist. Pittsburgh scored first in the first period, and it was 1-0 Pittsburgh after 1. Then in the second period, we scored 2 goals. Patrick Eves from Pavel Datsyuk and Joe Thornton, and then Pavel Datsyuk from Anton Volchenkov. But then Pittsburgh tied the game, so it was tied at 2 after 2. And then in the third period, Anton Volchenkov scored the game winner again. It was his 5th of the season from Drew Doughty and Mike Fisher, 3-2 the final score. Alright, so Zach Bogosian in Atlanta is suspended. He's going to miss 3 games. And Casey Barr is also suspended in Carolina. He's going to miss 1 game. And Colin Fraser in Philadelphia was looked at, but he is not going to be suspended. So 2 suspensions, 1 looked at, not suspended. Lots of dirty hits in the NHL, apparently. Oh, and it's Christmas. Oh, look at that. I can get a free gift there. I can get Tommy Mackey or Jeff Cowan. Not gonna get any of those guys. No Christmas gift for me again. Alright, and now we are going to be playing in Buffalo, so we have 4 more games left in December. So 1 away game in Buffalo, and then we are going to be home for a while. So Buffalo is now 9-24-3. That's good for dead last in the East. We are 2-0 against Buffalo this season. Brian Elliott in net for us. Rob Zepp in net for Buffalo. And we won 7-2. We outshot the Sabres 56-14. Joe Thornton was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Pavel Datsyuk was the second star with 2 assists as well. And Brooks Laich was the third star with 2 goals. So Buffalo scored first in the first period, but then Zdeno Chara scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Marinosa, and then Drew Doughty from Joe Thornton and Jason Spezza, and it was 2-1 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Buffalo tied the game. It was tied at 2 before we scored 4 straight. So it was Andre Meszaros from Jason Spezza and Pavel Datsyuk. Brooks Laich from Alex Pietrangelo and Anton Volchenkov. Chris Kelly scored his 10th from Ryan Callahan. And then Brooks Laich from Patrick Eves and Joe Thornton. 6-2 after 2. And there was a fight between Travis Moen and Zdeno Chara. Lots of people are very brave in my fictional historical NHL. And then in the third period, Eric Condros from Ryan Callahan. 7-2 is the final score. I need water. Whew. That feels a little bit better. Alright, Steve Staios is available. Suspension over for Casey Barr, back in the lineup. Alexei Kovalev has a strong game. He has a hat-trick against the Islanders. Marcus Naslund got 900 points in his career, got a goal against Tampa Bay. 36 years old, Marcus Naslund is still a 2-star player. And then we have a trade proposal from the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't know that I'm going to trade to Toronto, so that better be a good proposal. Really? You're offering... What? What kind of crap is that? So I finally got an offer for Ryan Miller. I really did. Toronto's offering me Andrew McWilliam for him, a 1-star potential defenseman for Ryan Miller. Seriously, computer? Wow. That's kind of sad. Is that the kind of offers I'm going to get when I try to trade Ryan Miller? If that's what I'm getting, I'm going to keep him. Ugh. Alright, Tony Ludman has played in 1,000 games in his career. Didn't get a point. That happened against the Vancouver Canucks. So 32 years old, still a 2.5-star player, Tony Ludman. David Krejci is hurt in Boston. What else is new? Feels like David Krejci gets hurt a lot in real life. He's going to miss 6 months with a ruptured tricep tendon. Wow. So Krejci is pretty much done for the season. Maybe if Boston makes it deep in the playoffs, he's going to be back. Alright, so we are hosting the Habs now. So Montreal is now in town. 22-13-5 is Montreal's record. They are 6th in the East. Now, we beat them earlier this month, 5-1, and I hope for another similar performance. They're going to Yaroslav Halak. This time we're going to Brian Elliott. And we won 7-0. There you go. Good team. Love it. So we outshot Montreal 41-33. Brian Elliott was the first star. He made 33 saves and got the shutout. Jason Spezza had himself a game. He had 3 goals and 4 assists. Participated to all 7 goals. Zdeno Chara was the third star with a goal and 2 assists. 18,665 people in attendance for this game. So Jason Spezza opened up the scoring in the first period from Zdeno Chara, then Alexander Radulov scored on the power play from Jason Spezza and Chris Kelly. Then Jason Spezza scored his 15th on the power play from Zdeno Chara and Chris Kelly. 3-0 Sens after 1. Then there was a bunch of penalties as well in the first. Then in the second period, Pavel Datsyuk scored his 15th from Drew Doughty and Jason Spezza. 4-0 Sens after 2. And then in the third period, Zdeno Chara scored on the power play from Joe Thornton and Jason Spezza. Then Chris Kelly on the power play as well from Jason Spezza. And finally, Jason Spezza finished his night with a hat-trick on the power play from Anton Volchenkov and Joe Thornton. 7-0 the final score. Jason Spezza was pretty impressive in that one. Alright, no miss time for Detroit's Ryan Caldwell, so not suspended. Ryan Smith in Edmonton is suspended. He's going to miss 10 games. Yikes. Captain Canada is out for a while there. Alright, 2 more games. 2 games in 2 nights, and they are both at home. Jaromir Jagr has reached 2,100 points in his career. Woo! That's a lot. That happens against Buffalo. Got 2 assists against against the Sabres. Sorry. So 37 years old, Jaromir Jagr. Oh, he's declining. He is only a 4.5-star player anymore. And in that same game, Sidney Crosby extended his goal streak to 5 games with 2 goals. Patrick Kane has a memorable game. He had a hat-trick, 3 goals and an assist against Dallas. And Daniel Sedin is injured in Vancouver. He's going to miss 3 months after suffering from a torn abdominal muscle against Phoenix. Alright, so we are going to be hosting the Colorado Avalanche. So Colorado is starting to slide a little bit. They are 16, 22, and 2. I remember they were a little bit higher in the standings prior to this video. So not going too well in Colorado right now. Oh, the goaltending is not that great. It's Manny Fernandez and Joey McDonald. On D, it's Kyle Comiskey, Adam Foote, Roman Amerlik, Pettinen, Boychuk, and Shattenkirk. So, I've seen better. Ladislav Nagy, Peter Forsberg, Alex Tanguay, Gagliardi, Darsh, Duchesne, Linka, Malhotra, McCormick, O'Reilly, Hensick, Verbata, Richardson, and Stewart. Yeah, that's not that great of a team. So Manny Fernandez is going to be in net for Colorado. We're going to Brian Elliott. Who else? And we won 4-1. Patrick Eves, first star, 2 goals. Brian Elliott, second star, 31 saves. Jason Spezza, third star, 2 assists. And we outshot Colorado 49-32. 17,251 people in attendance for this game. So Colorado scored first, so they were up 1-0 after 1, but then we scored twice in the second. Mark Streit on the power play from Alexander Radulov and Jason Spezza, and then Patrick Eves from Zdeno Chara and Andre Meszaros. It was 2-1 Sens after 2. Then we scored 2 more goals in the third period. Alexander Radulov from Jason Spezza and Joe Thornton, and Patrick Eves from Anton Volchenkov. 4-1. The Ottawa victory. Alright, so suspension over for Zach Bogosian back in the lineup. Brian Boyle is suspended in LA. He's going to miss 5 games. Alright, and the player poll results are in. So the best skater is Jaromir Jagr. Hardest shot is Brent Burns. Smartest is Martin St. Louis. Toughest is Fraser McLaren. Fastest is Phil Kessel. Best role model, Jay Boomister. Cleanest is Ryan O'Reilly. Toughest goalie to beat is Brian Elliott. And coach you'd most like to play for, Joel Quenneville in Minnesota. Well, another team might get to like to play for him if he loses his job. Alright, so we have 1 more game left here in December. It's going to be against the Islanders. So Islanders are in town. They are not good. They are 13-28. That's good for 13th in the East. We have won the only matchup against them this season. Let's see if we can beat them again. So Rick DiPietro is going to be in net for the Islanders. We are going to Ryan Miller. And we won 5-0. We outshot the Islanders 32-14. Scott Niedermayer, wow, we haven't seen his name at all this month. He was the first star with an assist. Andre Meszaros was the second star with an assist, and Chris Kelly was the third star with a goal and an assist. 17,877 people in attendance for that game. Pavel Datsyuk scored first from Patrick Eves and Jason Spezza, and it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second, we had Patrick Eves from Andre Meszaros and Jason Spezza. Then Chris Kelly on the power play from Alexander Radulov and Zdeno Chara. 3-0 Sens after 2. And then in the third period, Mike Fisher from Scott Niedermayer and Chris Kelly. And Sam Gagner from Eric Condra and Alexander Radulov. 5-0 is a great way to end a month, as long as you're the winner. Alright, Dan Amius lights the lamp. He had 3 goals and an assist against Columbus. Patrick Arnquist in that same game had a memorable game. He had 3 goals and an assist. Alright. Oh God. Well, it was all us in the month of December. Jason Spezza was the offensive player of the month, and Brian Elliott was the goaltender of the month. So, look at us. Didn't happen last month because we couldn't score goals, but we've scored plenty. Alright, so let's take a look at the standings a little bit. So we're still first, and we are 15 points ahead of Pittsburgh now, with the same amount of games played, so I feel pretty comfortable. Now, I know I do have a Flyers fan among my ranks here, and the Flyers are only 1 point behind Pittsburgh with 2 games on hand, so the Flyers might be able to catch up to the Pens and get that second spot there. Alright, so in the Western Conference, Chicago is on top. Anaheim, Calgary, Columbus, Nashville, St. Louis, Detroit, and San Jose. So Colorado at 1 point was looking better, but now they've slid all the way to 13th in the West. And now the worst team in the league is not Phoenix anymore. Oh wow, Phoenix has been winning some games. The worst team in the league now is the Buffalo Sabres. It's still tough in Buffalo. They have a hard time over there. Alright, and for our stats, we did have a pretty good month, so we have a few guys that have kind of bolstered their stats a little bit. Whew, sorry, my throat is telling me that it's about time that this video is ending, which is a good thing that we're pretty much done. So Jason Spezza had 62 points in 41 games. Thornton 48 in 41. Datsuk 39 in 37. Chris Kelly is doing pretty good, 30 points. And then our best defenseman is Zdeno Chara with 19 points. So Mark Streit again is kind of struggling. Well, he's not playing every game, and he has 18 points in 29 games, so he doesn't, like, his point total is not bad for the number of games played. I'm just not sure why he doesn't play every game. Lindy Ruff is a man of many mysteries. Probably has to do with that mustache that he had, like, for a while. Right, and let's take a look in the entire league. So Sidney Crosby is the best goal scorer with 28 goals. Our best is not listed. And then the best passer is actually Jason Spezza. So Spezza is the best passer in the league with 46 assists. Joe Thornton is 4th with 35. And then the best scorer is Sidney Crosby with 69 points. But I don't know if you remember, he had a lot of... his lead for the lead was pretty big, and now he has 69 points, and our best is Spezza with 62. Joe Thornton is 9th with 48. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So once again, we are in our rightful place atop the standings there. We're looking pretty good. But nothing is for granted. We could always lose a playoff series and end up with not getting the Stanley Cup for a change. Of course, that's in a few months / videos. Now, at the start of the next video, I'm gonna have Ryan Miller traded, unless I really cannot get anything. I mean, if we're getting offers like what Toronto offered, obviously that's not going to happen. But that's the plan anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and save my game. so that we know we're right here next time we do this. And of course, as usual, I do want to thank you for tuning in, and if you've liked the video, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.